The soup was still burning when it hit Amara's face. Hot. Scalding. The ceramic bowl caught her shoulder and the liquid splashed across her chest, her neck, up the side of her jaw. Amara gasped and stumbled backward, hands flying up too late. The heat sank into her skin like teeth. She tried to poison me. Linda's scream cut through the dining room. Amara's 4-year-old daughter Zara started crying. High, terrified sounds that stabbed through the shock. David dropped his briefcase in the doorway. Mom, what happened? Linda pointed at Amara with a shaking hand. The soup. She put something in it. I tasted it, David. Something bitter. Something wrong. Amara's throat closed. She clutched her burning chest and tried to form words. I didn't. You're lying. Linda's voice cracked perfectly, tears already streaming. I know what I tasted. David moved toward his mother. Not toward Amara. Not toward his wife standing there with soup soaking through her blouse and her skin blistering. He put his hand on Linda's shoulder. Amara, what did you put in the soup? Not if. What? The question landed like a fist. Amara's mouth opened but nothing came out. Zara's crying got louder. The kitchen smelled like lentils and burned fabric and the end of something. Nothing, Amara finally said. Her voice shook. David, the first swear I made it exactly how she taught me. I followed the recipe. I tasted it myself. Then why would she say she tasted something? David's tone went clinical. Cold. Like he was solving a problem at work. I don't know. The truth of that felt like drowning. Linda made a choking sound and pressed her hand to her throat. I feel strange. David, I'm dizzy. We're going to the David was already moving, already guiding his mother toward the door. Mom, can you walk? I think so. Linda leaned heavily against him. Amara took a step forward. David, please. I didn't do anything. He paused in the doorway without looking back. We'll talk when I get back. The door closed. The car started. Amara stood in her dining room, soup cooling on her skin while Zara sobbed at the table. Mama, why did Grandma throw the bowl? Amara had no answer. She picked up her daughter and held her tight, feeling the burns throb with each heartbeat. Before I go further, I need you to do something. If you're watching this and any part of this feels familiar, subscribe right now. Comment what city you're watching from. I need to know this story travels. I need to know I'm not the only one who's lived through something like this. Stay until the end. It gets worse. But I promise you it gets better too. Amara got Zara to bed after an hour of questions she couldn't answer. Where did Daddy go? When's he coming back? Is Grandma okay? Is Mama hurt? Yes, baby. Mama's hurt. She stood in the bathroom and peeled off her blouse. The burns were angry red welts across her chest and shoulder. She ran cold water over them, biting her lip against the sting. Her phone sat on the counter silent. No text from David. No call. Nothing. It was almost 9 o'clock. Amara went downstairs and stared at the dining room. Soup on the wall. Orange stains on the yellow paint. The shattered bowl on the floor. She got cleaning supplies and started scrubbing. The stain wouldn't come out. She scrubbed harder, feeling something build in her chest that had nothing to do with the burns. 6 years. 6 years of Linda's tight smiles and careful comments. 6 years of your English is so good and where are you really from? And David always had exotic taste. 6 years of swallowing every small cruelty and calling it family. Her phone buzzed. Amara grabbed it. Grace's name lit up the screen. Girl, you okay? Grace's voice came through, worried. You didn't answer my text. Amara looked at her phone. 3 missed texts from an hour ago. She'd been so focused on Zara she hadn't noticed. Linda threw soup at me. Silence on the other end. Then she what? Hot soup. Across the table. In front of Zara. Amara's voice cracked. She told David the first tried to poison her. He believed her. He took her to the hospital. He's been gone 3 hours. He won't answer my texts. Grace let out a string of Haitian Creole that Amara didn't understand but felt in her bones. I'm coming over. No, Zara's asleep. I can't. I'm already in my car. Grace hung up. Amara stood there holding the phone and something in her chest loosened just slightly. Not alone. She wasn't completely alone. The soup pot was still on the stove. Half full. Amara stared at it. Red lentils, onions, carrots, celery, vegetable broth, cumin, coriander, bay leaf. Linda's recipe from the notebook she'd given Amara during year 1 back when she'd still pretended to try. Amara ladled some into a mug and tasted it. Fine. Exactly how it was supposed to taste. She poured the rest down the drain and scrubbed the pot until her hands hurt. Grace showed up 20 minutes later with a bottle of wine and fury in her eyes. She took one look at Amara's burns and swore again. Did you put ice on these cold water? You need antibiotic ointment. Where's your first aid kit? Grace found it under the bathroom sink and spread ointment over Amara's burns with gentle hands. They sat on the couch afterward and Grace poured wine into coffee mugs because Amara couldn't find the wine glasses. Tell me everything. Amara did. The soup. Linda's accusation. David's immediate belief. The hospital. The silence. Grace listened, her jaw getting tighter with each detail. When Amara finished, Grace drained her mug and set it down hard. That woman has been planning this. Planning what? Getting rid of you. Grace leaned forward. Think about it. She stays here for 6 weeks watching everything you do. Learning your routine. Then suddenly you're poisoning her. Amara, this wasn't random. The words settled into Amara's stomach like stones. But why now? Because she can. Because David's pulling away and she sees her opening. Grace paused. Has he been acting different lately? Amara thought about the late nights. The distance in bed. The phone calls he took outside. Yeah. Another woman maybe. I don't know. I haven't asked. You need to ask. I need to survive first. Amara's hands shook. She set down her mug before she dropped it. If David divorces me, my green card, I know. They sat in silence. Amara's phone buzzed. She grabbed it. David still at hospital. Don't wait up. That was it. No explanation. No question about whether she was okay. Nothing. Amara showed Grace the text. He's choosing her, Grace said quietly. You know that, right? Amara knew. She'd known for a while. Maybe she'd known from the beginning, from the moment Linda had worn white to their wedding and David had called it a coincidence. Grace left after midnight, making Amara promise to call if anything happened. Amara locked the door and climbed the stairs, every step feeling heavier than the last. She checked on Zara, who was asleep with her stuffed elephant clutched to her chest. 4 years old and already learning that the people who smile at you can hurt you the most. Amara went to her bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. David's side was made untouched. His phone charger was gone from the nightstand. He'd been planning to stay out. She opened her nightstand drawer looking for pain medication and found something else instead. A receipt. Folded small, tucked under her bottle of lotion like someone had hidden it quickly. Amara unfolded it. Dinner for 2. Last Thursday. A restaurant in West Hartford she'd never been to. The bill was $140. David had paid cash, but someone had written the credit card slip anyway and he'd kept it. Last Thursday David had told her he was working late. Amara stared at the receipt until the numbers blurred. Her hands didn't shake anymore. They felt steady. Cold. Like something inside her had finally stopped fighting and started calculating instead. She took a photo of the receipt and put it back exactly where she'd found it. Then she opened her laptop and Googled, "Can I lose my green card if my husband divorces me?" The answer loaded slowly, each word a small violence. Conditional green card. Marriage-based. Subject to review. Must prove bona fide marriage. Divorce within first 3 years may result in deportation proceedings. Amara had been married for 6 years. Her permanent green card interview was scheduled for 2 months from now. She needed David to show up to confirm the marriage was real, to sign the papers. If he wanted to destroy her, all he had to do was not show up. She searched again: divorce and immigration status, Connecticut. The results were worse. Lawyer websites. Forum posts from desperate people. Stories of women sent back to countries they'd left a decade ago because their marriages fell apart at the wrong time. Amara's phone buzzed. She grabbed it. Unknown number, you and I need to talk. Tomorrow. Noon. Come alone. No signature. But Amara knew Linda's typing style. Short sentences. Periods like weapons. She typed back about what the response came immediately: your future. Or lack thereof. Amara's hands started shaking again. She set the phone down and walked to the bathroom. Splashed cold water on her face. Looked at herself in the mirror. 34 years old. Registered nurse in Nigeria, home health aide in America. 6 years of marriage. 1 daughter. Burns on her chest from soup that had been a recipe before it became an attack. A husband who chose his mother. A green card that could vanish if she made one wrong move. She thought about calling her sister in Lagos. But what would she say? I failed. I'm trapped. Send help, I can't afford. Her mother's voice echoed in her head from the wedding day video call. Are you sure about this? No, mama. I was never sure. I was just desperate. Amara went back to the bedroom and lay down on top of the covers, still dressed. She closed her eyes but didn't sleep. Just replayed the soup incident over and over, looking for the moment she could have done something different. The soup had been fine. She'd tasted it. She knew it was fine. Which meant Linda had lied. Which meant Linda had thrown soup at her on purpose. Which meant this was planned. Grace's words came back. She's been planning this. Amara sat up. Her laptop was still open, search results still glowing in the dark. She clicked on a new tab and typed Linda Thompson, Hartford, Connecticut. Social media profiles loaded. Linda's Facebook was public. Amara had never looked at it before, had never wanted to see how Linda presented herself to the world. She scrolled through posts. Pictures of Zara with captions like "my beautiful granddaughter" and no mention of Amara. Check-ins at church, at restaurants, at David's office. Comments on articles about immigration policy, all of them with a particular edge: we need to protect American jobs for American citizens. Chain migration is destroying this country. These people need to learn English or go home. These people. Amara kept scrolling. Went back 3 months to when Linda had moved in. Found a post from the day before the soup incident. Some people come into your family and you try to accept them. You try to be kind. But sometimes kindness is mistaken for weakness. Sometimes you have to protect your family from people who don't belong. 43 likes. 12 comments, all supportive. You're so strong, Linda. Family first. You know what's best. Amara's chest tightened. She screenshotted the post. Then she went back further. Found a post from 4 years ago, right after Zara was born. Welcoming a new granddaughter today. She's perfect even if she doesn't look like our side of the family. Love comes in all colors, I suppose. Even if. I suppose. Amara screenshotted that too. She spent the next hour going through Linda's entire Facebook history, saving every post, every comment, every barely disguised piece of racism Linda had been broadcasting to her 400 friends for years. At 2 in the morning, she heard the front door open. David. Amara closed her laptop and waited. Footsteps in the hallway. A pause outside the bedroom door. Then the footsteps continued to the guest room. He wasn't even going to try. Amara got up and walked to the guest room. Knocked once. What? David's voice through the door. We need to talk. Not tonight. Yes, tonight. Amara opened the door. David was sitting on the bed, still fully dressed, his tie loosened. He looked exhausted. Older than 38. But not guilty. That was the thing that struck her. He looked tired and stressed but not guilty. How is she? Amara asked. They ran every test. Blood work, EKG, everything. David rubbed his face. All normal. They said if there was something toxic in her system it would show up. It didn't. So you know I didn't. They don't know anything for sure, David interrupted. Some things don't show up in blood work immediately. They gave her something for anxiety and told her to follow up with her doctor. David. Amara stayed in the doorway. I didn't put anything in that soup. My mother thinks you did. Your mother lied. David's expression hardened. Don't. She threw soup at me. In front of our daughter. Look at me. Amara pulled down her collar, showing the burns. Does this look like an accident to you? David glanced at the burns and looked away. She was scared. She reacted. She planned this. You sound paranoid. I sound like someone who's been living with your mother for 6 weeks and knows exactly who she is. David stood up. My mother is grieving. She lost her husband. She's fragile. And you've done nothing but make her feel unwelcome in our home. Our home? When did it become our home? You told me it was my home too. It is. Then why does your mother go through my dresser drawers? Why does she rearrange my kitchen? Why does she tell Zara not to eat my cooking? Amara's voice rose. Why does she get to treat me like a guest in my own house? You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. For the first time in 6 years I'm being honest. Amara stepped into the room. She doesn't want me here. She's never wanted me here. And now she's found a way to make you choose. Choose what between her and me? David was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, maybe you should go stay with a friend for a few days. Let things cool down. The words hung there. Amara felt something crack inside her chest that had nothing to do with the burns. You want me to leave? I want space to think. About what? David didn't answer. He didn't have to. Amara saw it in his face, in the way he wouldn't meet her eyes. He was already gone. Had been for months. Maybe years. The soup incident was just permission to stop pretending. There's someone else, Amara said. It wasn't a question. David's silence confirmed it. How long? That's not what this is about. How long, David? He sighed. 7 months. 7 months. While Linda was planning her health scare. While Amara was working 12-hour shifts and sending money to Lagos and trying to keep their family together. While she was making soup from his mother's recipe and believing she still had a marriage worth fighting for. Who is she? Does it matter? Yes. Jessica. From work. David's voice was flat, emotionless. It just happened. We didn't plan it. You never plan anything, Amara said. You just let things happen to you and call it fate. This isn't Get Out. David blinked. What? Get out of this room. Out of this house. Go to Jessica's. Go to your mother's. Go anywhere. But get away from me right now before I say something we can't take back. Amara, get out. Her voice echoed through the house. Upstairs, Zara started crying. David stared at Amara like she was a stranger, then grabbed his keys from the dresser and walked past her without another word. The front door slammed. His car started. Drove away. Amara stood in the guest room shaking, listening to her daughter cry upstairs. She'd just thrown her husband out of their house. The husband who controlled her immigration status. The husband who could decide with one signature whether she stayed in this country or lost everything. And she'd do it again. She went upstairs and gathered Zara into her arms. Shish, baby. It's okay. Mama's here. Where's Daddy? Daddy had to go. Is he coming back? Amara held her daughter and told the truth for the first time in years. I don't know, baby. I honestly don't know. Amara didn't sleep. She lay in bed with Zara curled against her side, listening to her daughter's breathing slow and steady while her own heart hammered like it was trying to escape her chest. At 5 a.m. she gave up trying and got out of bed carefully, not waking Zara. The house felt different in the pre-dawn dark. Emptier. Like David leaving had taken something structural with him, and now the walls might collapse if she breathed too hard. Her phone lit up on the nightstand. Text from David sent at 4:30 a.m. I'm staying at a hotel. We need space. Don't contact my mother. Don't contact his mother. Like Amara was the problem. Like she was the one who'd thrown soup and lied and torn their family apart. Amara typed back, we need to talk about Zara. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Later. That was it. Their 6-year marriage, their daughter, her entire future in this country, and he gave her one word. Later. Amara went downstairs and started coffee. Her hands moved automatically through the routine while her mind spun in circles. The meeting with Linda at noon. The green card interview in 2 months. David's affair with Jessica. The divorce that was coming whether she wanted it or not. Her phone rang. Grace's name. You're up early, Amara said. Couldn't sleep. You okay? Number. David, come back. He came back. I threw him out. He's at a hotel. Amara poured coffee with shaking hands. With Jessica, probably. Grace was quiet for a moment. What do you need? A lawyer? A new husband? A time machine? Amara laughed and it came out broken. I don't know, Grace. I don't know what I need. Yes, you do. You need to fight. Grace's voice went hard. You need to stop being scared and start getting angry. You need to gather evidence and protect yourself. Evidence of what? Everything. The affair. Linda's harassment. Financial abuse. Anything you can use. For what? A divorce I can't afford, that'll get me deported. There are laws, Amara. Protections for immigrant women in abusive marriages. I know a lawyer. She's helped women like us before. I can't afford a lawyer. First consultation is free. I'll text you her number. Grace paused. Promise me you'll call her. I have to meet Linda at noon. She texted me last night. Alone, that's what she said. Don't go. I have to. I need to know what she's planning. Amara took a sip of coffee. It tasted like ash. Maybe I can reason with her. You can't reason with someone who thinks you're not human enough to marry her son. Grace's words hit like a slap because they were true. But if you're going record it. Every word. Get her on tape. Is that legal? Connecticut is a one-party consent state. If you're part of the conversation you can record it. Do it. They hung up. Amara sat at the kitchen table and stared at her phone. Grace's text came through with the name Maria Hernandez, Immigration and Family Law. A phone number. Hours 9 a.m. 5 p.m. Amara saved the contact and set the phone down. Upstairs she heard Zara's door open. Small feet on the stairs. Mama Amara wiped her eyes quickly. In the kitchen, baby. Zara appeared in the doorway clutching her stuffed elephant, her curls wild from sleep. Where's Daddy? Daddy had to work early. The lie tasted worse than the coffee. You hungry? Zara climbed into her chair. Amara made scrambled eggs and toast, putting the plate in front of her daughter. Zara looked at it and pushed it away. I want cereal. Eat the eggs first, then you can have cereal. Grandma lets me have cereal. The words were small but they cut deep. Amara took a breath. Grandma's not here right now. Eat your eggs. I don't like them. You liked them yesterday. Grandma says your eggs taste funny. Amara's hands tightened on the counter. She turned around slowly. What else does Grandma say? Zara looked down, suddenly uncertain. Nothing. Zara. She says your food is different. That American food is better. 4 years old and already learning to choose sides. Amara sat down across from her daughter and took her small hands. Baby, listen to me. There's nothing wrong with Mama's food. There's nothing wrong with being different. You're half Nigerian. That's beautiful. That's something to be proud of. Zara's eyes filled with tears. But Grandma says. I know what Grandma says. But Grandma's wrong. Is Grandma mad at you? Yes. Why? Because I exist. Because I married her son. Because my skin is the wrong color and my accent is the wrong sound, and I'll never be white enough or American enough or nothing enough to deserve her precious David. Because sometimes people don't understand each other, Amara said instead. But that's not your fault, okay? None of this is your fault. Zara nodded and picked up her fork. She ate 3 bites of eggs and asked for cereal. Amara gave it to her. At 7 a.m. Amara got a text from her supervisor at the home health agency. Need to see you before your shift. Come to office first. Amara's stomach dropped. She called Grace. They're going to fire me. You don't know that. Linda did something. I know she did. Amara paced the kitchen. She has connections everywhere. Church ladies. Hospital administrators. She probably called my boss. Then fight it. Document everything. Don't give them a reason to let you go. Amara dropped Zara at daycare and drove to the agency office. Her supervisor Karen was waiting with a file folder and an expression that didn't promise anything good. Amara, sit down. What's wrong? Karen opened the folder. I received a complaint yesterday. From the daughter of one of your patients. Which patient? Mrs. Chen. Amara's heart stopped. Mrs. Chen, her favorite patient. The only one who treated her like a person instead of hired help. What kind of complaint? Alleged medication mismanagement. The daughter claims medications are missing from her mother's prescription bottles. That's not true. I'm not saying it is. But I have to investigate. Company policy. Karen looked uncomfortable. You're suspended pending investigation. 2 weeks unpaid. I didn't take anything. Mrs. Chen will tell you. She trusts me. Mrs. Chen has dementia. Amara. Her testimony isn't reliable. She doesn't have dementia. She's sharp as hell. Her daughter barely visits. She doesn't know. Amara stopped. Took a breath. This is a setup. A setup. Someone is trying to destroy my life. They're using my job to do it. Karen's expression shifted to pity, which was worse than suspicion. Amara, I understand you're under stress. But making accusations without evidence isn't helping your case. I have evidence. I document every medication I give Mrs. Chen. Check my logs. I will. But until the investigation is complete, you're suspended. Leave your badge. Amara handed over her work badge with hands that had gone numb. She walked to her car and sat in the parking lot, unable to move. 2 weeks without pay. She had maybe $400 in her personal account. Rent was due in 10 days. Zara's daycare was $200 a week. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. 1 hour until our meeting. Don't be late. Linda. Amara started the car and drove. Not home. Not to Linda. To Grace's apartment. Grace opened the door in scrubs, about to leave for her own shift. She took one look at Amara's face and pulled her inside. What happened? Suspended. Someone reported me for stealing medications. It's fake, Grace. All of it. But they suspended me anyway. Linda. Has to be. She's taking away everything. My job. My husband. My daughter. She won't stop until I'm gone. Grace made Amara sit. Poured water. You're meeting her in an hour. I have to. Then go prepared. Record everything. And Amara. Grace gripped her shoulders. Don't let her see you break. She wants you weak. Don't give her that. Amara drove to the address Linda had texted. A coffee shop in West Hartford, upscale and quiet. Linda was already there, sitting at a corner table with a cup of tea and an expression of calculated calm. Amara slid her phone into her jacket pocket, recording app already running. She sat down across from her mother-in-law. You came, Linda said. You threatened me. Of course I came. I didn't threaten you. I offered to discuss your future. What do you want, Linda? Linda took a sip of tea. I want you to leave. Quietly. Without making this harder than it needs to be. Leave. Where? My house, my marriage, the country, all of the above. Linda set down her cup. Let's not pretend anymore, Amara. You know this marriage is over. David knows it. The only person still clinging to the fantasy is you. He's having an affair. I know. With a lovely woman named Jessica. She's pregnant, by the way. 3 months. Linda smiled. David's going to be a father again. To an American child this time. The words hit like a physical blow. Pregnant. Jessica was pregnant with David's baby. Amara's hands clenched under the table. Does David know you're here? David knows I'm protecting his interests. That's what mothers do. You threw soup at me in front of my daughter. You tried to poison me. I didn't. The story's already out there, dear. My church group knows. David's colleagues know. Your supervisor knows, apparently. Linda's smile widened. Funny how these things spread. You reported me for stealing medications. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're a liar. And you're an illegal immigrant who's overstayed her welcome. Linda leaned forward. Here's how this works. You sign divorce papers. You waive any claim to David's assets, to spousal support, to custody of Zara. You leave quietly, go back to Nigeria or wherever, and we all move on with our lives. Zara is my daughter. Zara is an American citizen being raised by an unstable immigrant mother with a history of violence and theft. Do you really think a court will give you custody? I never hurt anyone. You threw hot soup. There are witnesses. You threw the soup at me. That's not what David saw. That's not what the narrative is. Linda pulled a manila envelope from her purse and slid it across the table. Divorce papers. Already drawn up. Sign them and I'll make sure you get a little money to start over. Refuse and I'll make sure immigration knows your marriage was fraudulent from the start. Amara stared at the envelope. You can't prove that. I can imply it. I can suggest it. I can make your life so difficult that deportation looks like a blessing. Linda stood up. You have 48 hours. Sign or I destroy you completely. She walked out. Amara sat there shaking the envelope in front of her like a bomb. She pulled out her phone and stopped the recording. 43 minutes of Linda's voice, clear and incriminating. She opened the envelope. The divorce papers were real. Typed on legal letterhead. David's signature already there, dated yesterday. Yesterday, while Amara was scrubbing soup stains and trying to explain to their daughter why Daddy left. There was a custody agreement attached. Full custody to David. Supervised visitation for Amara. A restraining order application pre-filled claiming Amara was emotionally unstable and potentially dangerous. And underneath it all, a check for $5. Hush money. Go away money. Get out of our lives money. Amara's phone rang. Maria Hernandez's office, according to the caller ID. Grace must have called ahead. Amara answered. Ms. Thompson, this is Maria Hernandez. I understand you need legal help. I need. Amara's voice broke. She took a breath. I need to know if I have any rights at all. Tell me everything. Amara told her. The soup. The affair. Linda's threats. The suspension. The divorce papers. Jessica's pregnancy. All of it spilled out in Maria's office an hour later while Maria took notes and listened with an expression that said she'd heard versions of this story 100 times before. When Amara finished, Maria set down her pen. Connecticut recognizes several forms of domestic abuse. Financial control, emotional manipulation, isolation from support systems. You have grounds. For what? For protecting yourself. For keeping your green card. For fighting for custody of your daughter. Maria opened a folder. There's a law called VAWA. Violence Against Women Act. It allows immigrant women in abusive marriages to self-petition for permanent residency. You don't need David's cooperation. Amara felt something shift in her chest. I can stay without him if we can prove the abuse. And from what you've told me, we can. Maria pulled out forms. It's not easy. It takes time. But it's possible. How much time? A year, maybe more. But you'd get a work permit while it processes. You wouldn't be deported. And Zara, Connecticut courts prioritize the child's best interest. Being an immigrant doesn't disqualify you from custody. But we need to fight the narrative his mother is building. We need evidence that you're a good mother and they're the ones being abusive. I have recordings. Of what? Linda. Threatening me. Admitting she spread lies about me. Maria smiled for the first time. That's good. That's very good. What else do you have? Amara pulled out her phone. Showed the screenshots of Linda's Facebook posts. The receipt from David's dinner with Jessica. The divorce papers with his signature from yesterday. This is enough to start, Maria said. But we need more. Bank statements showing financial control. Text messages. Witnesses who can testify to Linda's behavior. Your friend Grace, would she testify? Yes. Mrs. Chen, maybe. If I can talk to her before her daughter poisons her against me. Then that's your next move. Talk to Mrs. Chen. Get her statement in writing if you can. Document everything your mother-in-law does from now on. Every text, every call, every interaction. And the divorce papers, don't sign them. Not yet. Let me review them first. There might be clauses in there that waive your rights to things you're legally entitled to. Amara left Maria's office with a folder full of forms and a plan that felt fragile but possible. She sat in her car and called Mrs. Chen's number. The phone rang 4 times. Then a younger woman's voice answered. Chen residence. The daughter. This is Amara Thompson. I'm Mrs. Chen's health aide. I need to speak with her. I don't think that's a good idea. Please. Just 5 minutes. You were suspended for stealing from my mother. I didn't steal anything. I have documentation of every medication I've given her. Check my logs. The logs you could have falsified. Why would I do that? I've been caring for your mother for 2 years. She trusts me. My mother has dementia. She doesn't know who to trust. Your mother doesn't have dementia. Amara's voice rose. She's sharper than both of us. Ask her. Ask her right now if I've ever stolen from her. Silence. Then a rustling sound. Mrs. Chen's voice faint in the background. Who is it? It's Amara, your aide. Let me talk to her. More rustling. Then Mrs. Chen came on the line, her voice clear and sharp. Amara dear. Don't listen to my daughter. She thinks I'm senile. Mrs. Chen, did I ever take medications from you? Of course not. You're the only one who gives them to me correctly. My daughter can't even read the prescription labels. A pause. They suspended you, didn't they? Yes. Because someone lied. Yes. I know who. I'm not stupid and I'm not senile. I saw her. Amara's heart stopped. Saw who? That woman who came by last week. Said she was from the church doing wellness checks on seniors. I let her in. Stupid of me. She looked at my medications, asked a lot of questions. I thought it was odd, but I didn't think. Mrs. Chen's voice hardened. It was your mother-in-law, wasn't it, Linda? I saw her picture on your phone once when you showed me photos of your daughter. Same woman. She came here, looked through my things, and then suddenly I'm missing medications I never actually needed in the first place. What do you mean? The pills they say are missing? They were prescribed 3 years ago for a condition I don't have anymore. I stopped taking them. The bottles have been sitting in my cabinet untouched. But now they're gone and you're being blamed. Amara closed her eyes. Mrs. Chen, would you be willing to tell this to someone officially? A lawyer, my supervisor? I'll tell anyone who'll listen. That woman is evil and I won't let her destroy you. Mrs. Chen paused. You're a good person, Amara. One of the few people who's treated me like I still have a brain in my head. I'm not letting her win. They hung up. Amara sat in the car recording the call details in her phone's notes app. Evidence. She was building evidence. Her phone buzzed. David. We need to talk about Zara. Can I pick her up from daycare today? Amara typed back number. She's my daughter too. Then you should have thought about that before you had a baby with someone else. 3 dots. Then who told you that your mother? At our meeting today. You met with my mother. She invited me. Gave me divorce papers. Threatened to have me deported. Amara's hands shook typing. Did you know she's pregnant? Did you know when you signed those papers yesterday? No response. David, it's complicated. No. It's not. You cheated. She got pregnant. You chose her. That's not complicated. That's just cowardice. I want to see Zara. You can see her when your lawyer talks to my lawyer. You don't have a lawyer. Yes, I do. And she's very good. You'll be hearing from her soon. Amara blocked his number before he could respond. She picked up Zara from daycare and drove home. The house felt wrong when they walked in. Like someone had been there. Amara checked the locks. All still secure. But something was off. She found it in the living room. Linda's suitcase. Sitting by the couch. Linda's purse on the coffee table. Amara's blood went cold. She pulled out her phone to call the police, then heard the toilet flush upstairs. Linda appeared at the top of the stairs looking down at Amara with a smile that could cut glass. Hello dear. I let myself in. David gave me his key. Amara's hand tightened on her phone. Linda stood at the top of the stairs in Amara's house, in the house Amara paid rent on, smiling like she owned every inch of it. Get out. I don't think so. Linda descended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. David gave me his key. I'm staying here until things settle down. You're not staying anywhere. Get out of my house. Your house. Linda reached the bottom of the stairs. David's name is on the lease. Mine now too, actually. He added me this morning. The words hit like ice water. He can't do that without my signature. He's the primary leaseholder. He can do whatever he wants. Linda walked past Amara into the kitchen. I've already moved my things into the guest room. I'll try not to be too much trouble. Zara tugged on Amara's sleeve. Mama, why is Grandma here? Grandma's leaving, baby. Go upstairs to your room. But now Zara. Zara's eyes filled with tears. She ran upstairs. Amara heard her door slam. Linda opened the refrigerator and pulled out a bottle of water. You shouldn't yell at her like that. It's traumatizing. You want to talk about trauma? You threw boiling soup at me in front of her. I defended myself from poisoning. Linda took a sip of water. And I have the hospital records to prove I was in distress. Your tests came back normal. Tests don't show everything. My doctor says anxiety can cause physical symptoms that blood work misses. Linda set down the bottle. I've also filed a police report. About the poisoning attempt. They'll be following up. Amara's stomach dropped. You filed a police report, of course. If someone tries to kill you, you report it. Linda's smile was surgical. I told them everything. How you've been unstable lately. How you've been violent with David. How I'm afraid for my granddaughter's safety. That's all lies. Is it you threw David out last night? You screamed at him. Zara heard everything. Because he admitted to cheating on me, because you're paranoid and controlling. That's what he'll tell the police when they ask. Linda leaned against the counter. Face it, Amara. You're the villain in this story. The angry immigrant wife who couldn't handle her husband's American mother. Who got violent. Who put everyone at risk. I have recordings of you. Admitting you lied. Admitting you sabotaged me. Linda's expression didn't change. Connecticut is a two-party consent state for recordings. Anything you recorded without my knowledge is inadmissible in court. Also illegal. I could have you arrested for that too. Amara's hands went numb. Grace had been wrong. Or Amara had misunderstood. Either way, her evidence was worthless. You're lying. Google it. Linda pulled out her own phone. I already did. Want to see the statute? Amara's phone buzzed. Text from Maria Hernandez. Call me. Urgent. Amara stepped into the living room and called. Maria, Linda's in my house. She says David added her to the lease and Connecticut is one-party consent for recordings. Maria interrupted. Whoever told you it wasn't was lying. Your recordings are completely legal. Relief flooded through Amara so fast she had to sit down. You're sure? Positive. I looked it up after our meeting because I wanted to confirm. Linda's bluffing. She's in my house right now. Did you give her permission to be there? Number. She says David gave her a key. That doesn't matter. You're a legal resident of that property. You have the right to refuse entry to anyone including her. Tell her to leave. If she refuses, call the police. Amara hung up and walked back into the kitchen. Linda was making tea completely at home. I just spoke to my lawyer. You're trespassing. Get out or I'm calling the police. Go ahead. Linda poured hot water over a tea bag. Tell them you're denying entry to an elderly woman who's afraid for her life. Tell them you're the one who tried to poison her. See how that goes. Amara pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Linda's expression flickered. Just for a second. Then the mask came back. 911, what's your emergency? I need someone to remove a trespasser from my home. The dispatcher took Amara's address and information. Estimated response time was 20 minutes. Amara hung up and stared at Linda. They're coming. You should leave before they get here. I'll wait. Linda carried her tea to the living room and sat on the couch. I'm sure the officers will be very interested in hearing about the poisoning incident. 15 minutes later, 2 police officers knocked on the door. Amara let them in. Both were white men, one older with gray at his temples, one younger with a fresh face and suspicious eyes. Ma'am, you called about a trespasser, the older officer said. Yes. This woman, Amara gestured to Linda, is my mother-in-law. She let herself into my house without permission. I want her removed. Linda stood up and her whole demeanor shifted. She became smaller, frailer, her voice trembling. Officers, I'm so sorry you were called for this. My daughter-in-law is having a mental health crisis. I'm staying here temporarily because I'm afraid for my granddaughter's safety. That's not true, Amara said. Ma'am, let her speak, the younger officer said. Linda pressed a hand to her chest. 2 days ago she tried to poison me. I have hospital records. I filed a police report this morning. I'm terrified of her, but I can't leave my granddaughter alone with someone so unstable. She threw soup at me, Amara said, and she heard how her voice rose, how desperate she sounded. Look. She pulled down her collar, showing the burns. Both officers looked. The older one's expression softened slightly. The younger one frowned. How did you get those burns, ma'am? The older officer asked Linda. I threw the soup, yes. In self-defense. She'd put something in it and I reacted without thinking. I was terrified. Linda's eyes filled with tears. I just wanted to protect myself. This is insane, Amara said. I have recordings of her admitting she lied. I have witnesses. I have. Ma'am, do you have a restraining order against this woman? The younger officer interrupted. No, but is her name on the lease of this property? Amara hesitated. My husband added her this morning. Without your consent, he's the primary leaseholder. The officers exchanged a look. The older one turned to Amara. Ma'am, if she's on the lease, she has a legal right to be here. We can't remove her. But I live here. This is my home. It's her home too, according to the lease. The younger officer pulled out a card. This sounds like a civil matter. You'll need to handle it through the courts. File for a restraining order if you feel unsafe. She's the one who's unsafe. She assaulted me. She says it was self-defense. The older officer's tone had gone carefully neutral. Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but there's nothing we can do here. If you want her removed, you'll need a court order. And if I want to file assault charges, you can go to the station and file a report. But based on what she's told us, it sounds like there are conflicting accounts. It'll be up to the DA whether to prosecute. They left. Linda waited until the door closed before letting her tears dry up instantly. That went well, she said. Amara stood in the middle of her living room, shaking with rage and helplessness. You planned this. All of it. I protected myself. That's all. Linda picked up her tea. Now I think I'll go check on Zara. She must be so confused with all this drama. Don't you dare go near my daughter. Our granddaughter. And I'll see her whenever I want. Linda headed for the stairs. Amara grabbed her arm. Linda spun and her face transformed into something ugly and raw. Touch me again and I'll have you arrested for assault. Linda yanked her arm free. You really don't understand how this works, do you? You're the foreigner. You're the outsider. I'm the concerned American grandmother. Every system in this country will side with me over you. She went upstairs. Amara heard Zara's door open, heard Linda's voice go sweet and gentle. "Hi, sweetheart. Grandma's here. Want to help me bake cookies?" Amara sank onto the couch and called Maria. They wouldn't remove her. The police said she's on the lease. David added her this morning, that's what she said. I'll file an emergency motion to have her removed and to freeze any changes to your living situation. But it'll take a few days. Maria paused. Can you stay somewhere else with your friend Grace and leave Linda alone with Zara number? Then document everything. Every interaction. Keep your phone recording whenever she's around. We'll need it. Upstairs, Amara heard Zara giggling. The sound felt like glass in her chest. She went to the kitchen and started dinner. Linda came down an hour later with Zara and they'd already eaten cookies. Zara pushed away the Nigerian rice and stew Amara had made. I'm full, Mama. You need real food, not just cookies. Grandma says cookies are fine. Grandma's wrong. Linda sat at the table, not eating, just watching. You're so strict with her. Children need joy, not rules. Amara ignored her. Zara, eat your dinner. I don't want it. 3 bites. That's all. Zara's face crumpled. She pushed the plate away and ran upstairs crying. Amara started to follow, but Linda stood up. Let me. You'll just upset her more. She's my daughter. And you're driving her away. Linda climbed the stairs. Keep this up and she'll hate you by the time she's 10. Amara stood alone in the kitchen, dinner getting cold, her daughter crying upstairs in another woman's arms. She pulled out her phone and texted Grace. I can't do this. She's winning. Grace called immediately. Where are you? Home. With Linda. The police wouldn't remove her. Come to my place. Bring Zara. I can't leave. If I do, Linda wins. If you stay, you'll break. I can hear it in your voice. Amara looked at the stairs. Heard Linda reading Zara a bedtime story in a voice full of warmth and love, the voice she'd never once used with Amara. I'll stay tonight. Tomorrow I'll figure something out. Call me if anything happens. Anything. After Zara was asleep, Amara went to her room and locked the door. She opened her laptop and checked the joint bank account. $347 remaining. There had been $3,200 yesterday. Amara's hands shook as she clicked through the transactions. David had transferred $2,800 this morning. To an account she didn't recognize. She called him. It went straight to voicemail. You emptied our account. I need that money for rent. For food. For Zara. Call me back. He didn't. Amara checked her personal account. $412. Not enough for rent. Not enough for anything. She searched for the account David had transferred the money to. The routing number came back to a joint account in David's and Jessica's names. He'd opened a bank account with his pregnant girlfriend while still married. Amara took screenshots of everything and sent them to Maria. A text came back immediately. This is financial abuse. Exactly what we need. Keep documenting. Amara lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to Linda move around the house below. Every creak felt intentional. Every sound a reminder that Linda was here in Amara's space, taking over her life piece by piece. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Jessica. We need to talk. Amara stared at the message. David's girlfriend texting her at 11 p.m. She typed back, about what? About David. About everything. Can we meet tomorrow? Why? Because I think we're both being lied to. Amara sat up. What does that mean? Not over text. Coffee tomorrow. 9 a.m. There's a place on Farmington Avenue called Daily Brew. Meet me there. How'd I know this isn't a setup? You don't. But I'm 3 months pregnant with your husband's baby, and I just found out he's been lying to both of us about a lot of things. So I'm taking a risk too. The message sat there. Amara's mind spun through possibilities. Trap. Manipulation. Linda's next move. Or maybe the truth. I'll be there, she typed. She couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m. she heard Linda's door open. Footsteps in the hallway. Amara cracked her bedroom door and watched Linda go into Zara's room. Amara followed silently. Linda was standing over Zara's bed, stroking her hair, whispering something too quiet to hear. Amara's hand found her phone and started recording video. Linda leaned down and kissed Zara's forehead. Don't worry, sweet girl. Soon it'll be just us. Just our family. No more confusion. No more yelling. Just daddy and grandma and you. Amara's throat closed. She backed away before Linda could see her and went to her room. She sent the video to Maria with shaking hands. Maria's response came fast. "This is gold. Shows her intentions clearly. Save it." At 7 a.m. Amara got up and found Linda already in the kitchen making breakfast. Pancakes. Zara's favorite. "Morning," Linda said cheerfully. "I made enough for everyone." Zara came running downstairs. "Pancakes, wash your hands first," Amara said. Zara pouted but went to the bathroom. Linda plated pancakes and set them on the table. "You really should try to be more fun," Linda said. "Children respond better to joy than orders. Children respond to structure and consistency. Not grandmothers trying to replace their mothers." "Is that what you think I'm doing?" "I know exactly what you're doing." Linda's smile was sharp. "Then you know you can't stop me." Amara's phone rang. "Maria, I filed the emergency motion. We have a hearing tomorrow at 2 p.m. Can you make it?" "Yes." "Bring everything. Bank statements, recordings, photos of your Burns, Mrs. Chen's statement. Everything." Amara hung up and looked at Linda. "You're being removed from this house tomorrow. Court order." Linda didn't even blink. "We'll see." At 8:30 Amara left to meet Jessica, leaving Zara with Linda because she had no choice. Grace couldn't take the morning off work and daycare didn't open until 9. She drove to Daily Brew and found Jessica already there. Mid-30s, blonde, pretty in a conventional way. Showing just slightly in a fitted dress. Amara sat down across from her. Jessica spoke first. "Thank you for coming." "Why am I here?" "Because David told me you knew about us. That you were fine with it. That your marriage was already over and you were just waiting for the divorce to finalize." Amara laughed bitterly. "He told you I was fine with it. He said you were seeing someone too. That it was mutual. I haven't looked at another man in 6 years. Jessica's face went pale. "He lied. About that and probably everything else. He said you didn't want kids. That Zara was an accident you resented. Zara is the only good thing that came from that marriage." Jessica put her face in her hands. "Oh God. I'm such an idiot. How long have you been together?" 7 months. "We met at work. He said he was separated. That you'd grown apart. That he just needed time to make it official. We weren't separated. We were living together. Sleeping in the same bed. Raising our daughter together. And his mother, he said she was sick. That she needed constant care. That you refused to help. Linda's not sick. She's evil. And she's orchestrating all of this." Jessica looked up. "What do you mean?" Amara told her. "Everything. The soup, the lies, the accusations, the stolen medications, the threats." Jessica listened, her expression growing more horrified with each detail. "She told David the first was the perfect woman for him," Jessica said quietly. "She set us up. We'd run into each other at the hospital where she volunteers and she'd always mention David. Always suggested we grab coffee together. I thought it was sweet. A mother trying to help her son move on. She was helping him cheat. Because she wanted you gone." Jessica's hands went to her stomach. "And now I'm pregnant. Now I'm trapped too. Does David want this baby? I don't know. He seemed happy when I told him. But now." Jessica pulled out her phone. "He's been distant lately. Canceling plans. Not answering calls. I thought it was stress from the divorce but what last night he told me he needed space. That things were complicated. That maybe we moved too fast." Jessica's voice cracked. "I think he's going to leave me too." Amara felt something shift. Not sympathy exactly, but recognition. 2 women, different colors, different backgrounds, both being used by the same man and his mother. "What do you want from me?" Amara asked. "The truth. All of it. Because I think Linda's been lying to me about you and David's been lying to me about everything and I need to know what's real." Amara pulled out her phone and played the recording from the coffee shop. Linda's voice clear and damning, talking about getting rid of Amara. About the soup being a setup. About making life unbearable. Jessica listened, her face going whiter with each second. She's insane. She's calculated. Everything she does is planned. David doesn't know, does he, about what his mother's really like? He knows. He just doesn't care. Amara put away her phone. Linda gives him permission to be weak. To let someone else make the hard choices. That's what he wants. Not you. Not me. Just someone to make life easy. Jessica was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I'll testify." At your custody hearing. I'll tell them David lied to me about your marriage. That he's been manipulating both of us. That his mother's been orchestrating everything. Why would you do that? Because I don't want to raise my child around people like them. And because you deserve to keep your daughter. Jessica stood up. I'll call your lawyer later today. Give her my information. She walked out, leaving Amara sitting alone with cold coffee and the strange feeling that she'd just gained an ally in the last place she'd expected. Amara drove back home with Jessica's promise echoing in her head. An ally. She'd found an ally in the woman carrying her husband's child. The irony would have been funny if everything wasn't burning down around her. She pulled into the driveway and saw David's car parked on the street. Her stomach dropped. She'd left Zara with Linda. David was here. Together they could be doing anything. Amara ran inside. The living room was empty. She heard voices upstairs. David's voice, Linda's voice, and Zara laughing. Actually laughing. Amara climbed the stairs and found them in Zara's room. David sitting on the floor building blocks with Zara. Linda on the bed watching like a proud director of a play she'd written. Mama Zara looked up. Daddy's here. David stood. We need to talk. Get out of my house. It's my house too. And my mother's apparently. David's jaw was tight. We need to discuss Zara. This situation isn't good for her. You mean the situation where you cheated on me, got another woman pregnant, and let your mother move into our home to terrorize me? See, Linda said quietly to David. This is what I meant. The hostility. The anger. It's not healthy. You want to talk about healthy? Amara pulled out her phone. Let's talk about this. She played the recording from the coffee shop. Linda's voice filled the room, cold and clear, talking about getting rid of Amara, about the soup being a setup, about destroying her completely. David's face went pale. Mom, what is she talking about? That recording is illegal, Linda said calmly. She made it without my consent. Connecticut is one-party consent. My lawyer confirmed it. Amara kept the phone playing. Listen to the whole thing, David. Listen to what your mother really is. David listened. His expression shifted from confusion to disbelief to something that might have been horror. When it ended, he looked at Linda. You set this up, the soup, all of it. She's manipulating you again, Linda said. That recording is edited. Taken out of context. You know how technology can be twisted. It's not edited, Amara said. I have the original file. Time-stamped. Everything. David, honey, you know me. You know I would never. I don't know what I know anymore. David sat down heavily on Zara's bed. Jessica called me this morning. She said she met with Amara. She said you set us up. That you've been lying to both of us. Linda's mask slipped. Just for a second. Jessica is pregnant and emotional. She doesn't know what she's saying. She knows exactly what she's saying. David put his head in his hands. What have you done? I protected you. From a marriage that was killing you. From a woman who never belonged in this family. You destroyed my marriage. Your marriage was already dead. I just had the courage to pull the plug. Linda stood. Everything I did for you. For us. For our family. I'm part of this family, Amara said. Zara is part of this family. No. Linda's voice went cold. You were never family. You were a green card transaction that went on too long. The words hung in the air. Zara's eyes went wide, not understanding but feeling the venom. Mama, what's a green card? Before Amara could answer, the doorbell rang. They all froze. Are you expecting someone? David asked. Amara went downstairs and opened the door. Two women stood there, one holding a clipboard, both wearing badges. Mrs. Thompson, I'm Sarah Chen from Child Protective Services. This is my colleague Amanda Rice. We received a report of child endangerment at this address. May we come in? The floor tilted under Amara's feet. Who made the report? We can't disclose that. May we come in? Amara stepped aside. The women entered. David came downstairs, Linda behind him. What's going on? David asked. CPS, Amara said, and she couldn't keep the shake out of her voice. Someone reported me. Sarah looked between them. We need to speak with both parents and conduct a home safety check. Is the child here? Upstairs, David said. What kind of report? Allegations of neglect, substance abuse, and violent behavior toward the child. Sarah pulled out papers. We take these reports very seriously. Substance abuse, Amara's voice rose. I don't use drugs. I don't even drink. This is insane. The report also mentions an incident where hot soup was thrown resulting in burns while the child was present. Amara looked at Linda. Linda's expression was perfectly neutral, perfectly concerned. That's not what happened, Amara said. She threw the soup at me. I have hospital records. Photos of my burns. We'll need to see those. Sarah made a note. Where is the child now? In her room. David's voice had gone hollow. This is a mistake. My wife isn't violent. She's never hurt Zara. Then the investigation will show that. Amanda moved toward the stairs. We need to interview the child. Alone. No, Amara said. You can't talk to my daughter without me there. Yes, we can actually. It's standard procedure for child welfare investigations. Sarah's voice was kind but firm. We need to ensure she feels safe to speak freely. They went upstairs. Amara tried to follow but Sarah stopped her. Please wait down here. This won't take long. Amara stood at the bottom of the stairs shaking. David paced. Linda sat on the couch looking serene. You did this, Amara said to her. You called CPS. I reported my concerns to the appropriate authorities. That's what responsible adults do. Linda folded her hands. If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about. You lying, Amara, don't. David grabbed her arm. Not now. It'll only make this worse. Worse? How can this be worse? Amara yanked her arm free. Your mother is trying to take my daughter. She's trying to have me deported. And you're still defending her. I'm not defending anyone. I'm trying to upstairs. Amara heard Amanda's voice asking Zara questions. Zara's small voice answering. Every second felt like drowning. Her phone buzzed. Text from Grace. I'm on my way. Don't say anything without a lawyer present. Too late for that. 15 minutes later, the CPS workers came downstairs. Sarah's expression gave nothing away. We've completed our initial assessment. The child appears physically healthy and well cared for. However, she did mention some concerning things about family conflict and loud arguments. Of course there are arguments, Amara said. My husband is having an affair. His mother moved into our house against my will. Our marriage is ending. But I have never ever hurt my daughter. The child also mentioned that grandma makes better food than mama. That mama's food tastes funny. Linda's work. Amara could hear it in every word. That's my mother-in-law poisoning her against me. Against my culture. Against. We're not here to mediate family dynamics, Sarah interrupted. We're here to ensure the child's safety. Based on this initial visit, we're going to require follow-up. Another caseworker will contact you within 48 hours to schedule a home visit. And in the meantime, the child remains in the home. But we'll be monitoring the situation. Sarah handed Amara a card. If you feel the child is in immediate danger, call this number. Otherwise, cooperate with the follow-up visit. They left. Amara stood in her living room holding a CPS card while her daughter played upstairs and her mother-in-law smiled. Well, Linda said. That went better than expected. Amara lunged at her. David caught her holding her back. Don't, he said. Amara, don't give her what she wants. What she wants is me destroyed. Amara struggled against David's grip. And you're letting her do it. The front door opened. Grace walked in, saw the scene, and her eyes went hard. Let her go, David. Grace, this isn't. I said let her go. David released Amara. Grace moved between them like a wall. What happened? CPS was here, Amara said. Linda called them. Told them I'm violent and neglectful and God knows what else. Grace turned to Linda. You called CPS on a woman you know is fighting for her immigration status. You know what that could do to her case. I called because I'm concerned about my granddaughter's well-being. Linda's voice was syrup over poison. Any responsible person would do the same. Any responsible person would mind their own business and stop destroying people's lives for sport. I don't have to listen to this. David, are you going to let her speak to me this way? David looked at his mother like he was seeing her for the first time and didn't like what he saw. Maybe you should go, Mom. Linda's expression flickered. What, go to your house? Or a hotel? Just go. I need to think. I'm on the lease. You added me yourself. That was a mistake. David pulled out his phone. I'm calling the landlord. Getting you removed. You can't do that without notice. I have tenant rights. Then I'll give you notice. 30 days. You're out by the end of the month. Linda stood. You're choosing her over me after everything I've done for you. You destroyed my marriage. You manipulated me into an affair. You called CPS on the mother of my child. David's voice cracked. What exactly have you done for me except make my life a nightmare? I gave you permission to be happy to leave a woman who never fit to start over with someone suitable. David laughed harsh and broken. You mean white. Don't put words in my mouth. I don't have to. You've said them yourself. In 100 little ways for 6 years. David looked at Amara. I'm sorry. I should have stopped her years ago. I was weak. I let her. He stopped. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, Amara said. I know. Linda grabbed her purse. Fine. You want me gone, I'm gone. But this isn't over, David. When you realize what you've done, when Jessica leaves you and Amara takes everything, don't come crying to me. She walked out, slammed the door hard enough to shake the walls. The three of them stood in silence. Then Grace said someone needs to check on Zara. Amara ran upstairs. Zara was sitting on her bed holding her stuffed elephant, tears streaming down her face. Baby, what's wrong? Those ladies ask me scary questions. About if you hurt me. About if I'm scared of you. Zara's voice hitched. I told them no. But they kept asking. Like they didn't believe me. Amara gathered her daughter into her arms. You did perfect, baby. You told the truth. That's all you ever have to do. Are you going away, number? I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Amara held her tighter, making a promise she didn't know if she could keep. Promise. Downstairs she heard David and Grace talking in low voices. When she came back down, David was sitting on the couch with his head in his hands. I need to get tested, he said without looking up. For what? Grace asked. For everything. If my mother's been lying about Amara, she could be lying about other things. Health things. Things she told me about Jessica. He looked up. She said Jessica had a clean bill of health. That everything was fine with the pregnancy. But if she lied about that, call Jessica, Amara said. Ask her directly. David pulled out his phone and dialed. Put it on speaker. Jessica answered on the second ring. David, your mother just called me. She said you had a breakdown. That you're believing Amara's lies and I need to talk sense into you. When was your last doctor's appointment? David asked. 2 weeks ago. Why? And everything was fine. Define fine. I'm nauseous all the time and exhausted, but the doctor says that's normal first trimester stuff. Did my mother go with you? Jessica was quiet. Yes. She said you were working and couldn't make it. She took notes. Talked to the doctor about my medications and history. What medications? I'm not on any medications. I told her that. She seemed weird about it. Asked the doctor if I should be on something for anxiety. Jessica paused. David, what's going on? My mother has been manipulating both of us. Lying about Amara. Lying about you to me. Possibly lying about your health. She told me Amara was bipolar. That she was violent. That you were terrified of her but stayed for Zara's sake. None of that is true. I know. I figured that out this morning. Jessica's voice got smaller. What did she tell you about me? David hesitated. That you had a history of depression. That you'd been on medication before. That the pregnancy might trigger episodes. I've never been depressed in my life. I've never been on psych meds. David, the first, don't know what game your mother is playing, but she wanted Amara gone. And she wanted me with someone she could control. David's voice went flat. You were supposed to be that someone. And when I'm not, I don't know. They hung up. David looked at Amara. I need to show you something. He pulled out his phone and opened his photos. My mother sent me these last week. She said you sent them to her. Threatening messages. He showed Amara the screen. Text messages from Amara's number to Linda's number. Vicious, angry messages threatening violence. Calling Linda racial slurs. Promising to make her life hell. I never sent those, Amara said. I know that now. But last week when I saw them I believed her. I thought you were unstable. That you needed help. That's when I started pulling away completely. Grace took the phone and examined the messages. These are faked. The timestamps are wrong. See, this one says it was sent at 2:47 p.m. last Tuesday. But Amara was at work. I was with her. We were doing a double shift together. How would my mother fake texts from Amara's number? Apps. There are apps that let you create fake text conversations. Grace looked at Amara. She's been building a case against you. Systematically. The soup. The CPS call. These fake messages. All of it designed to make you look unstable. Why go to such lengths? David asked. Because I'm an immigrant, Amara said quietly. Because in any custody battle, any legal proceeding, anything official, I start from behind. Your mother knows that. She's using every bias, every stereotype, every system that already doubts me, and she's weaponizing it. Her phone rang. Mrs. Chen's number. Amara dear. Are you sitting down? Why? Because I found something. In my late husband's papers. Something about Linda Thompson. Amara put the phone on speaker. What did you find? My husband was a lawyer. He kept records of all his cases. Linda Thompson was one of his clients 23 years ago. For what? Mrs. Chen's voice went grim. She filed for a restraining order. Against her husband's first wife. The room went silent. My father was married before my mother, David said. Apparently so. And Linda accused the first wife of harassment, of threatening her, of trying to steal her husband back. Mrs. Chen paused. The case was dismissed. The judge called it a malicious filing. Said Linda had fabricated evidence. Do you still have the records? Amara asked. I'm looking at them right now. I'll scan and send them to you. But Amara, there's more. The first wife's name was Maria Rodriguez. She was an immigrant from Mexico. And 6 months after the restraining order was dismissed, she left the country. Voluntarily, according to the records. But the notes suggest Linda made her life so unbearable she had no choice. Amara's hands went numb. She's done this before. And she'll do it again if you don't stop her. Mrs. Chen's voice softened. Fight, Amara. You have the truth. Use it. They hung up. David stood up and walked to the window. My father had another wife. And my mother drove her away. He turned. Did he even know? Did he help her do it? We may never know, Grace said. But we know what Linda's capable of now. The court hearing is tomorrow at 2, Amara said. We present everything. The recordings. Mrs. Chen's testimony. Jessica's testimony. The records of Linda's past. All of it. She'll fight back, David said. Let her. Amara stood. I'm done being scared. I'm done shrinking. Your mother wants a war, she can have one. Her phone buzzed. Text from Maria. Jessica just called. She's in. Mrs. Chen sent the documents. We have everything we need. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we fight. Amara looked at David. Are you going to show up at the hearing? Are you going to tell the truth? David met her eyes. Yes. Even if it destroys your relationship with your mother. My relationship with my mother destroyed my marriage. My family. Everything good I had. He looked up at the ceiling toward Zara's room. I won't let it destroy my daughter too. Grace left after midnight. David stayed sleeping on the couch. Amara lay in bed going over everything in her mind. The recordings. The evidence. The witnesses. She had a case. She had a chance. At 3 a.m. her phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. You think you've won. You haven't. Tomorrow in that courtroom I'll show everyone exactly what you are. A liar. A manipulator. A woman who seduced my son for a green card and won't let go even when the marriage is dead. Sleep well, dear. It's the last peaceful night you'll have. Linda. Amara didn't respond. Didn't give her the satisfaction. Instead, she took a screenshot and sent it to Maria. Then she went to Zara's room and watched her daughter sleep. 4 years old and already caught in an adult war she didn't understand. But after tomorrow things would be different. They had to be. I'm going to protect you, Amara whispered. No matter what it costs. You're going to grow up knowing you're loved. Knowing you're enough. Knowing your mother fought like hell to keep you safe. Zara stirred in her sleep and smiled. Amara went back to bed and for the first time in a week actually slept. The morning came too fast and too slow at the same time. Amara woke at 6, showered, dressed in the only professional outfit she owned. A navy dress she'd worn to her citizenship interview 3 years ago. It felt tighter now, or maybe she just felt smaller inside it. David was already up making coffee. He handed her a cup without speaking. They moved around each other like strangers who happened to share the same kitchen. What time do we need to leave? He asked. 1:30. The hearing's at 2. I'll drive. I can drive myself. Amara. He set down his mug. Let me do this one thing. Please. She nodded because arguing took energy she needed to save for Linda. Grace arrived at noon with a bag of food Amara couldn't eat. Her stomach had turned to concrete. Maria called at 12:30 with last-minute instructions. Stay calm. Answer questions directly. Don't let Linda bait you into anger. The judge will be watching your demeanor as much as listening to your words. What if she brings something I don't know about, some new lie? Then we deal with it. But Amara, we have evidence. Real documented recorded evidence. She has stories. Stories lose to facts. They arrived at the courthouse at 1:40. The building felt massive and cold. Amara's hands shook as they went through security. David stayed close, and for the first time in weeks his presence felt like support instead of a weight. Maria met them in the hallway outside the courtroom. She had 3 folders under her arm and an expression that said she was ready for war. Jessica's here. Mrs. Chen's here. We're good to go. And Linda already inside. With her lawyer. Amara's stomach dropped. She has a lawyer, of course she does. But don't worry. Her lawyer doesn't have what we have. They entered the courtroom. Linda sat at a table on the left wearing a pale blue suit that made her look fragile and maternal. Her lawyer was a man in his 50s with silver hair and an expensive watch. He looked like someone who won cases by making juries like him. Linda's eyes met Amara's across the room. She smiled. Amara looked away first and hated herself for it. The judge entered. Honorable Patricia Morrison, according to the nameplate. Mid-60s black woman with sharp eyes and no-nonsense energy. Amara felt something loosen in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, this judge would see through Linda's performance. This is an emergency hearing regarding residence and potential restraining orders in the matter of Thompson family dispute, Judge Morrison said. Mrs. Linda Thompson has filed to have Mrs. Amara Thompson removed from the marital residence and barred from unsupervised contact with the minor child Zara Thompson. Mrs. Amara Thompson has filed to have Mrs. Linda Thompson removed from the residence and to block any custody changes. Let's begin. Mr. Harrison, you're representing Mrs. Linda Thompson. Linda's lawyer stood. Yes, Your Honor. Proceed. Harrison stood and painted a picture of a concerned grandmother watching her son's marriage crumble while his unstable immigrant wife spiraled into violence. He described the soup incident as a clear assault, referenced the CPS investigation, mentioned the threatening text messages. Mrs. Linda Thompson feared for her life, Your Honor. She threw soup in self-defense when she realized her daughter-in-law had poisoned it. The hospital records show she was in genuine distress. Do the hospital records show poison? Judge Morrison asked. They show elevated anxiety and stress responses consistent with do they show poison? Harrison hesitated. No, Your Honor. But the absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. It's also not evidence of presence. Continue. Harrison presented the fake text messages. The CPS report. Character witnesses who would testify to Linda's upstanding nature. Your Honor, this is a woman who has never had so much as a parking ticket. A pillar of her church community. A loving mother and grandmother. She's being vilified by a woman who married her son for immigration benefits and is now lashing out because the marriage is ending. Judge Morrison looked at Amara. Mrs. Thompson, you'll have your chance to respond. Mr. Harrison, anything else? Just that we believe Mrs. Amara Thompson represents a clear danger to both Mrs. Linda Thompson and to the minor child. We're asking for her immediate removal from the home and supervised visitation only until a full custody hearing can be scheduled. He sat down. Linda dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Perfect timing. Judge Morrison turned to Maria. Ms. Hernandez, your client's response. Maria stood and her voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. Your Honor, what we have here is not a concerned grandmother. What we have is a calculated campaign of harassment, manipulation, and abuse designed to force my client out of her home, away from her daughter, and ultimately out of the country. She pulled out the first folder. I have recordings. Multiple recordings of Mrs. Linda Thompson admitting she fabricated the poisoning story. Admitting she's been systematically trying to destroy my client's life. Admitting she's weaponizing my client's immigration status against her. Harrison stood. Your Honor, those recordings were made without my client's consent. They're inadmissible. Connecticut is a one-party consent state, Maria said smoothly. As long as one party to the conversation consents to recording, it's perfectly legal. My client was party to all these conversations. The recordings are admissible. Judge Morrison gestured. Let's hear them. Maria played the coffee shop recording. Linda's voice filled the courtroom cold and damning. Talking about getting rid of Amara. About making her life unbearable. About using the soup as a weapon. Linda's face went white. Harrison whispered urgently in her ear. When it ended, Judge Morrison leaned forward. Mrs. Linda Thompson, is that your voice? Linda stood. Yes, but it's taken out of context. She provoked me. You'll have your chance to testify. Sit down. Judge Morrison looked at Maria. What else do you have? Witness testimony. Jessica Parker, the woman Mr. David Thompson has been having an affair with, is here to testify that Mrs. Linda Thompson manipulated her into the relationship to break up the marriage. Harrison shot to his feet. Your Honor, this is a hearing about residence and child safety, not marital infidelity. It's about character and intent, Maria countered. It shows a pattern of manipulation. I'll allow it, Judge Morrison said. Call your witness. Jessica entered the courtroom visibly pregnant and took the stand. She was sworn in and sat down with her hands folded over her stomach. Maria approached gently. Ms. Parker, how do you know the Thompson family? I work with David Thompson. His mother introduced us about 8 months ago. What did Mrs. Linda Thompson tell you about David's marriage? She said it was over. That Amara was abusive. That David was staying out of obligation and fear. That Amara had married him for a green card and was now holding him hostage. Did you believe her? Yes. She was his mother. I had no reason to doubt her. Jessica's voice cracked. I thought I was helping him escape an abusive situation. I thought I was the good guy. When did you learn the truth? 2 days ago. When I met with Amara and heard the recordings. When I realized Linda had lied about everything. About Amara being abusive. About the marriage being over. About me being the first person David had been with outside his marriage. Jessica looked at Linda. She told me there were others. That David had a pattern. That I shouldn't feel bad about being one of many. Was that true? Number. I was the first. The only. And Linda orchestrated the entire thing. Jessica's hands tightened. She wanted Amara gone and she used me to do it. Harrison stood. Your Honor, this is hearsay and speculation. It's first-hand testimony about statements made by the respondent, Maria said. It's absolutely admissible. Judge Morrison nodded. I'll allow it. Continue. Maria pulled out her phone. Your Honor, I'd like to play another recording. This one is from last night. She played Linda's threatening text message, the one sent at 3 a.m. Linda's voice converted to audio through a text-to-speech app promising to destroy Amara in court. Does that sound like a concerned grandmother? Maria asked. Or does it sound like someone engaged in systematic abuse? Objection. Harrison's voice rose. That text could have been sent by anyone. It came from Mrs. Linda Thompson's phone number. We can subpoena phone records if needed. Judge Morrison made a note. I'll keep that in mind. Next witness. Mrs. Chen took the stand, walking slowly with a cane but sharp as ever. She testified about Linda coming to her house under false pretenses, going through her medications, setting up Amara to take the fall. Why would she do that? Maria asked. To get Amara fired. To isolate her. To make her seem unstable and dangerous. Mrs. Chen looked at the judge. I've lived in this country for 50 years, Your Honor. I know what racism looks like. I know what people do to immigrants they think don't belong. This woman is doing all of it. Objection. Harrison stood. This witness is making accusations without basis. I have basis, Mrs. Chen said before the judge could respond. I have documents from my late husband's law practice. Records showing that Mrs. Linda Thompson did this exact same thing 23 years ago to her husband's first wife. Another immigrant woman. Another systematic campaign of harassment until the woman left the country. The courtroom went silent. Harrison looked like he'd been punched. Your Honor, we were not made aware of any such documents. Neither was I, Judge Morrison said. Mrs. Chen, do you have these documents with you? I do. Mrs. Chen pulled papers from her purse. My husband represented the first wife, Maria Rodriguez, in a restraining order case against Linda Thompson. The case was dismissed because the judge found Linda had fabricated evidence. 6 months later, Maria Rodriguez left the country voluntarily, but the notes suggest she was fleeing harassment. Maria took the documents and handed copies to Harrison and to the judge. Judge Morrison read them in silence that felt like it lasted an hour. Finally she looked up. Mrs. Linda Thompson, you have quite a history. Linda's composure cracked. That was different. That woman was actually dangerous. She threatened me. The court found you fabricated evidence, Judge Morrison said. That's not different. That's a pattern. Harrison whispered urgently to Linda. She shook her head, her face going red. Judge Morrison looked at Maria. Any other witnesses? One more, Your Honor. David Thompson. David stood and walked to the stand. He looked at his mother once, then looked away. After being sworn in, he sat down. Maria approached. Mr. Thompson, how long have you been aware of your mother's behavior toward your wife? I've known she didn't like Amara from the beginning. But I told myself it was cultural differences. Adjustment period. I made excuses. David's voice was flat, exhausted. I see now that it was racism. Pure and simple. My mother never wanted me to marry someone who wasn't white. When did you become aware of the affair with Ms. Parker? My mother suggested I spend more time with Jessica about 9 months ago. She engineered situations where we'd be alone together. She told me Amara was cheating on me, which wasn't true. She said my marriage was dead and I deserved happiness. Did she know about the affair? She encouraged it. Celebrated it. Told me Jessica was perfect for me. David looked at Jessica in the gallery. I'm sorry. I should have seen what was happening. Jessica nodded, tears on her face. Did your mother ever discuss getting rid of Amara? Maria asked. David hesitated. This was it. The moment he chose a side. Yes. 3 weeks ago she told me she had a plan to make Amara leave. She said it would be clean and legal and Amara would have no choice. I asked what she meant. She said I didn't need to worry about details, just trust her. And you didn't stop her number. David's voice broke. I didn't. I was weak and selfish and I let my mother destroy my family because it was easier than standing up to her. But I'm standing up now. Amara never poisoned anyone. She never hurt anyone. Everything my mother has said is a lie. Harrison jumped up. Your Honor, this witness is clearly hostile to my client, and this witness is the son of your client and the husband of the petitioner, Judge Morrison said. His testimony is absolutely relevant. Sit down. David continued. The soup incident happened exactly how Amara said. My mother threw it at her. I saw it. I just chose to believe my mother's version because it was easier. Because then I could be the victim instead of the person who destroyed his own marriage. Why are you testifying now? Maria asked. Because I have a daughter. And I won't let her grow up thinking it's okay to tear people down because of where they come from or what they look like. David looked at Linda. I'm done protecting you, Mom. I'm done being your weapon. Linda stood up. You ungrateful Mrs. Thompson. Sit down, Judge Morrison said. No, I will not sit down while my own son lies about me. Linda's voice rose, losing all its gentle grandmother quality. I did everything for him. I saved him from a terrible marriage to a woman who only wanted him for citizenship. I found him someone suitable, someone who could give him real American children. Not what Mrs. Thompson. Judge Morrison's voice cut like ice. Linda's mouth snapped shut, but the damage was done. The mask had shattered. Not children like Zara, the judge continued. Not black children. Is that what you were going to say? I didn't mean. Yes, you did. Sit down. Linda sat shaking with rage. Judge Morrison looked at her notes. Is there anything else, Ms. Hernandez? One more thing, Your Honor. Maria pulled out her final folder. I've filed paperwork for my client to self-petition for permanent residency under VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act. She's a victim of domestic abuse and under federal law she doesn't need her husband's cooperation to maintain her immigration status. I have that paperwork here if the court would like to review it. I would. Judge Morrison took the folder. Harrison looked at Linda and whispered something. Linda shook her head violently. Your Honor, Harrison said we'd like to call Mrs. Linda Thompson to testify. Proceed. Linda took the stand. Under oath she told her version. The concerned mother. The dangerous daughter-in-law. The poisoning attempt. But every word felt hollow after the recordings, after David's testimony, after her own outburst. Maria cross-examined. Mrs. Thompson, you testified that you threw soup in self-defense. Is that correct? Yes. But the recordings show you admitted the soup was fine. That you lied about poisoning. Were you lying then, or are you lying? No, I was upset when I said those things. I didn't mean yes or no, Mrs. Thompson. Did you lie about the poisoning? Linda's jaw clenched. The soup tasted wrong to me. That's not what I asked. I felt threatened. By soup you made from your own recipe that your daughter-in-law prepared exactly as you taught her. She could have added something. Did she? Silence. Mrs. Thompson, did Amara poison the soup? I thought she did. That's not what I asked. Did she actually poison the soup? Yes or no? Linda's face went red. No. But no further questions. Maria sat down. Judge Morrison looked at both lawyers. Anything else? No, Your Honor, they said in unison. Then I'm ready to rule. Judge Morrison removed her glasses and looked at Linda. Mrs. Thompson, in my 20 years on the bench I have seen many cases of domestic abuse. I've seen physical violence, financial control, emotional manipulation. What I've seen today is one of the most calculated campaigns of psychological warfare I've encountered. You systematically attempted to destroy another woman's life using every tool at your disposal: racism, immigration status, institutional bias, and your own son. Linda opened her mouth. Judge Morrison held up a hand. I'm not finished. The evidence shows you fabricated a poisoning story. You filed false reports with CPS. You manipulated your son into an affair to break up his marriage. You've done this before 23 years ago to another immigrant woman who your husband was involved with. This is a pattern of behavior and it stops now. She put her glasses back on. Mrs. Linda Thompson, you are hereby ordered to vacate the residence at the Thompson address within 48 hours. You are prohibited from contacting Mrs. Amara Thompson directly or indirectly. You are prohibited from unsupervised contact with the minor child Zara Thompson pending a full custody evaluation. If you violate this order, you will be held in contempt and potentially arrested. Linda's lawyer stood. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Mrs. Amara Thompson, your motion to remain in the residence is granted. Your VAWA petition appears to have merit and I'm ordering CPS to close their investigation with a finding of no abuse. The allegations were clearly fabricated as part of this harassment campaign. Amara felt tears burning her eyes. She couldn't breathe. As for custody of Zara Thompson, I'm ordering a full evaluation by a court-appointed psychologist before any changes are made. In the interim, Mrs. Amara Thompson retains primary physical custody. Mr. David Thompson will have supervised visitation pending the evaluation. Mrs. Linda Thompson will have no contact with the child except through supervised neutral third-party visitation at a family center and only if both parents agree. Judge Morrison closed her folder. This case is a reminder that immigration status does not strip someone of their rights. Mrs. Amara Thompson is entitled to the same protections as any American citizen. She is entitled to live free from harassment and abuse. And she is entitled to raise her daughter without interference from someone who has demonstrated such malicious intent. She stood. This hearing is adjourned. The gavel came down. Amara couldn't move. Maria grabbed her hand and squeezed. We won. We won, Amara repeated, and the words felt impossible. Behind them, Linda stood up. Her lawyer was packing his briefcase, already moving toward the exit. Linda looked at Amara and her expression was pure poison. This isn't over, she said. David stepped between them. Yes, it is, Mom. It's over. You lost. Go home. You chose her over me. Your own mother. You made me choose. And yeah, I chose the woman who never lied to me. The woman who never manipulated me. The woman who actually loves me instead of seeing me as a possession. David's voice was quiet but absolute. I'm done. We're done. Linda's face crumpled. For just a second she looked old and small and broken. Then the mask came back harder than before. You'll regret this. All of you. She walked out. The courtroom emptied slowly. Jessica approached Amara outside in the hallway. I'm sorry, Jessica said. For all of it. You didn't know. I should have asked more questions. I should have. Jessica put a hand on her stomach. I'm not keeping David. Just so you know. We're done too. But I am keeping this baby. Good, Amara said. That baby deserves better than to grow up around Linda's poison. Jessica smiled weakly. Yeah, it does. She paused. For what it's worth, I think you're incredibly strong. I hope your daughter knows that. I'll make sure she does. They parted ways. David caught up to Amara as she was leaving the courthouse. I meant what I said in there. I'm sorry. I was weak and I let her, I know. Amara looked at him. Really looked at him. You hurt me. You betrayed me. You chose her over me again and again until it almost destroyed me. I know. But you showed up today. You told the truth. And maybe that doesn't fix what's broken, but it's something. Is there any chance? David trailed off. Never mind. That's not fair to ask. No, Amara said. There isn't. The marriage is over, David. But we can be good co-parents. For Zara. We can do that much. He nodded. I'll work on myself. Get therapy. Figure out why I let her control me for so long. You do that. Amara went to Grace's car. Grace drove her home, talking the whole way about how incredible the judge was, how Linda's face had looked when the ruling came down, how justice had actually happened. But Amara was quiet, processing. She'd won the battle. But recovery was going to be longer than a court hearing. They picked up Zara from daycare together. Zara ran to Amara and wrapped her arms around her legs. Mama, I missed you too, baby. Is Grandma coming home? No, sweetheart. Grandma's going to her own house. It's just you and me now. And Daddy will visit. But yeah, mostly just us. Zara considered this. Good. I like just us. Something in Amara's chest unlocked completely. That night after Zara was asleep, Amara sat at her kitchen table with a cup of tea and her laptop. She pulled up the VAWA petition Maria had filed. Read through it. Saw her story laid out in legal language. Domestic abuse. Financial control. Emotional manipulation. All of it documented. All of it real. Her phone rang. Her sister in Lagos. Amara, is everything okay? You haven't called in weeks. Everything's not okay, Amara said. But it's getting better. She told her sister everything. The soup. Linda. The court hearing. All of it. When she finished, her sister was quiet. You could come home, her sister said finally. We miss you. Mama would have wanted you home. This is home now, Amara said. It took me 6 years to understand that. I don't belong here because of David or because of a green card. I belong here because I built a life. I have a daughter. I have friends. I have a career I'm fighting to rebuild. This is my home. Even after everything they did to you, not they. Linda. And she doesn't represent everyone. Amara looked around her kitchen. I'm not leaving. I'm staying. I'm fighting. And I'm going to make sure Zara grows up knowing she belongs everywhere she chooses to be. They talked for another hour. When they hung up, Amara felt lighter than she had in years. The next day, Linda's belongings were gone from the house. David had hired movers while Amara was at work. She came home to find the guest room empty, Linda's tea bags gone from the kitchen, her books removed from the shelves. It was like she'd never been there. Except for the soup stain on the dining room wall. Amara had scrubbed it for an hour on that first night and it wouldn't come out. Now she stood looking at it, and instead of shame she felt something else. Proof. Evidence. A reminder that she'd survived. She left it there. 6 months later, Amara's VAWA petition was approved. She got her permanent green card in the mail on a Tuesday afternoon. She held it in her hands and cried. Grace threw her a party. Mrs. Chen came bringing a cake. Jessica came too, 8 months pregnant, her belly huge. David came with flowers and a card that said, I'm proud of you. Amara was back at work as a nurse, having finally completed her recertification. She worked at Hartford Hospital on the same floor where David worked in administration. They were cordial, professional, sometimes almost friendly. Linda sent letters. Long rambling letters about how Amara had poisoned her family, how she'd pay for what she'd done, how God would judge her. Amara put them in a folder and gave them to her lawyer. Linda was violating the restraining order with each one. Eventually the letters stopped. Zara started kindergarten. She made friends. She talked about her mom and dad in equal measures. She asked why Grandma Linda didn't visit anymore, and Amara told her the truth in 5-year-old terms. Sometimes people aren't kind. Sometimes they hurt others. And sometimes, even if they're family, we have to keep ourselves safe by staying away from them. Is Grandma a bad person? Grandma has done bad things. That's different. Will she get better? I don't know, baby. That's up to her. 1 year after the court hearing, Amara was called to Mrs. Chen's hospital room. Mrs. Chen had pneumonia and wasn't expected to make it through the week. She was 91 and tired. I wanted to see you, Mrs. Chen said, her voice weak. Wanted to make sure you were okay. I'm okay. Better than okay. Good. That's good. Mrs. Chen smiled. You fought. You won. I knew you would. I won because you helped me. You gave me the documents that proved Linda's pattern. I gave you paper. You gave yourself freedom. Mrs. Chen's eyes closed. That's what matters. You saved yourself. Mrs. Chen died 3 days later. Amara spoke at her funeral. Talked about courage and kindness and how some people see you as human when others only see your category. 2 years after the soup incident, Amara became a U.S. citizen. She stood in a ceremony hall with 200 other people from 90 different countries, raised her right hand and swore an oath to a country that had tried to destroy her and failed. Zara was there, 7 years old, wearing a dress she'd picked out herself. David was there too, sitting in the back. Grace was there crying. When it was over, when Amara had her citizenship certificate in her hands, Zara hugged her. Are you American now, Mama? I'm American. And Nigerian. I'm both. Like me, exactly like you. They went for ice cream afterward. Sat in the park. Watched Zara play. I'm getting married, David said. To someone from work. Not Jessica. Someone else. That's good. I hope you're happy. I'm trying to be. He paused. Linda had a stroke last month. She's in a nursing home. She asked if she could see Zara. Amara's stomach tightened. What did you tell her? I told her no. That Zara doesn't need that toxicity in her life. That I won't let my daughter be used the way I was used. Good. I visit her sometimes. She's different now. Quieter. Sometimes I think she understands what she did. Sometimes I think she's just too weak to fight anymore. David looked at Zara. I told her I forgave her. But I also told her she'll never see any of us again. Amara was quiet. Then she said, that must have been hard. It was necessary. They sat in silence. Not comfortable, not entirely uncomfortable. Just two people who'd shared a terrible chapter and were both trying to write better ones now. 5 years after the soup incident, Amara stood in her kitchen making jollof rice for Zara's 10th birthday party. The house was full of children, full of noise, full of life. The doorbell rang. Amara answered it. A woman stood there. Late 50s, Latina, kind eyes. I'm sorry to bother you. My name is Maria Rodriguez. I heard about your case from a friend who works at the courthouse. I wanted to meet you. Amara stared. You're Robert Thompson's first wife. I was. A long time ago. Maria smiled sadly. I heard you beat her. Linda. I heard you stood up to her and won. I did. Good. That's good. Maria's eyes filled with tears. I didn't. I ran. I left the country and I never looked back. I've regretted it every day for 23 years. You survived. That's what matters. But I let her win. No, Amara said firmly. You saved yourself. That's not losing. That's choosing life. They talked for an hour. Compared stories. Found the same patterns, the same tactics, the same poison. When Maria left, she hugged Amara. You're stronger than I was, she said. You were strong enough to survive. That's all that matters. Amara closed the door and went back to her party. Zara was laughing with her friends. Grace was helping serve cake. The house smelled like Nigerian food and American birthday cake mixed together, and it was perfect. That night, after everyone left, Amara tucked Zara into bed. Mama, can I ask you something always? Why did Grandma Linda hate you? Amara had been waiting for this question for years. She'd prepared answers. But looking at her daughter's face, she told the simple truth. Because I was different. Because my skin was different and my voice was different and I came from somewhere else. And some people can't handle different. It scares them. That's dumb. Amara smiled. Yeah, baby. It is. I'm glad you're different. I like being different too. Good. Don't ever let anyone make you feel bad for being exactly who you are. Zara fell asleep. Amara went to her own room and stood at the window looking out at the street. This house, this life, this country. She'd fought for all of it. And she'd won. Not because the systems had protected her. Not because justice was guaranteed. But because she'd refused to disappear quietly. Because she'd gathered evidence and allies and courage. Because she'd stood in a courtroom and demanded to be seen as human. The soup stain was still on the dining room wall. Amara kept it there intentionally now. A scar. A story. A reminder. When people asked about it, she told them the truth. All of it. And every time she told the story, it lost a little more power to hurt her and gained a little more power to help someone else. Because that's what survival looked like. Not erasing the trauma. Not pretending it didn't happen. But transforming it into something useful. Into proof. Into testimony. Into a map for the next person fighting the same battle. Amara Thompson. 39 years old. American citizen. Registered nurse. Single mother. Survivor. She'd come to America searching for opportunity and found a war instead. But she'd fought that war on her own terms and she'd won. Not by becoming smaller. Not by disappearing. But by refusing to let anyone erase her. The soup Linda threw was meant to burn her into submission. Instead, it forged her into something unbreakable. And that soup stain on her wall, it wasn't a mark of shame anymore. It was a battle scar. Evidence that she'd stood in the fire and survived. And every morning when she walked past it, Amara remembered they tried to break her. They failed. And she was still here, still standing, still fighting, still free. That was the only victory that mattered.